G'day YouTube, 13 minutes to 12 Eastern Daylight Saving Time, so it's actually 13 minutes to 11. Here we see the bottom of the coffee percolator of what I'm pleased to call the Mark VI SunFire solar thermal device. If you pay particular attention to the mirror, you'll see I've gone in there and put some patches on places where it was previously damaged in earlier experiments where we suffered from the dropsies. In here you can see we have some hydrogen dioxide, that common industrial solvent, and the idea is going to be to boil that, and after we've got it simmering, then I'll put some coffee grounds into the basket. I've already ground the beans, and here's the kerosene table stand lamp which I used to apply at Hitomarif's suggestion that I use lamp black on the bottom. Now yesterday, I suppose we better get this thing going, shouldn't we? Yesterday I got it to boil 1 litre in 51 minutes when we had bare aluminium bottom on the coffee percolator. And to take advantage, there's the time. We're now on 11 minutes to 12, and we turn it around here. Right, so the tea cozy's on at 11 minutes to 12. So, like good little mad scientists, better come and write that one down. There's somebody called Lattitude left me a comment yesterday. Um, 11 minutes too, that's 11 to 48. Yes? 11:49. Okay. So anyway, this character called Shice, his theory was I should put it on the clock. So alright, we've got the start. And as I was saying to you yesterday, it took 50 minutes. There we are. 1 litre test. Took 50 minutes with a silver bottom to boil 1 litre. And to take advantage of a suggestion from John Solar 283 that I try it with some charcoal added. I rubbed the bottom of the coffee pot just about there on the charcoal pile, and that turned the bottom of the coffee pot from bare natural aluminium to sort of a dark grey, and I didn't think it was going to have that much of a difference, but we went from 50 minutes, came all the way down to 40 minutes, and 10 minutes out of 50, that's 20%. Yes? Surely, that's, you know, how I can stumble mathematics. So 20% improvement in performance. I think that's pretty good. Not actually easy to achieve a 20% improvement in one single modification. But Hatomarif suggested that I could get the bottom perfectly black if I used too much fuel in the table stand kerosene lamp. So that's what I did. I used some lamp black on it, and I didn't think I actually had enough time uploadable to catch the whole process. I didn't want to try and make 2 movies of it, so I tried to make a little movie at the end of the first percolator full that I made today. And, well, not to put too fine a point on it, the damn thing boiled in 25 minutes. So, lamp black is twice as good, the heat transfer. You know, like Hatomarif had a bit of a formula there, and I'm not particularly good at mathematics. You know, I'm lousy at it actually. And according to Hatomarif's formula, 50 minutes to boil 1 litre is a heat transfer of around about 140 watts. Well, there's only 353 watts hitting the mirrored dish. So that means if the dish is say 94-95% efficient, then the coffee percolator was boiling water with about 50% efficiency, and it's fairly hard to get a boiler to put more than 50% of the heat that's in the burning flue gases into the water to make the steam. If you're talking a commercial boiler or something like that, 50% efficient is pretty good for a boiler, because you have to have a heat gradient, push the heat from the gases into the liquid, and it's got to push it through some kind of a metal container. So yeah, I was really surprised to find that lamp black takes it from 50 minutes to 25, and I'm hoping to show that to you today. If it doesn't, well, you know, people are going to think I'm a liar, but I've repeated the experimental conditions. And if anything, it'll be even better because the sun's 1 hour higher in the sky. Can't believe that. If Hatomarif is right with his figures, if it's 140 watts heat transfer, or if that's the rate of heat transfer to boil a kilogram of water in 50 minutes, then doing it in 25 minutes means it's 280 watts. 280 watts is a pretty good fraction of 353, when only 335 gets shining onto the bottom of the percolator. So anyway, here we are, making a movie, watching water boil, or waiting for water to boil. So what else has been happening? New South Wales is going to get itself known as the state of corruption. Last week they were talking about how a politician called Roosendale had corruptly benefited to the tune of a $10,800 free motor vehicle given to him by a fellow called Eddie O'Beid, who is a minister. No, he's a member of Parliament. He was suspended from the New South Wales Labor Party yesterday. He used to be known as the Kingmaker. Eddie O'Beid was the man who pulled premiers down and replaced them with people that nobody had ever heard of because he wanted things to happen. Yesterday, the Independent Commission on Corruption inquiry, or whatever it was in Sydney, the barrister for the commission did a 5-hour opening address in which he stated that he was going to demonstrate that the corruption created by Eddie O'Beid was the biggest stink in New South Wales since the Rum Corps 200 years ago. And that's pretty serious corruption. He opened the bidding by pointing out how Eddie O'Beid had found out from an Ian MacDonald who used to be the Minister for Mining. Eddie O'Beid had found out where there was coal with farmland over the top of it, and Eddie O'Beid went and bought with his family 3 large farms at farming prices. He also bought shares in the mining companies and then sold the land to the mining companies that he had the shares in and organised for the mining companies to get the licence to dig up the black gold. And apparently Eddie O'Beid's cash in hand payout for this is $30 million straight away. He wanted another $30 million last week, and there's another $30 million to go. The hidden chunks of cash floating around in Eddie O'Beid's corruption account total over $100 million. So yesterday, Eddie O'Beid, the kingmaker of the New South Wales Labor Party, he was suspended from the Labor Party, but he's still a member of Parliament. Meanwhile, the Premier of New South Wales can't capitalise on it too much because last week a 30-year-old senior detective inspector of the police force went on television to point out that there was a pedophile protection operation going on between the New South Wales Police and the Catholic Church, and he was calling for a royal commission into pedophilic protection rackets. Archbishop George Pell, the head of the Catholic Church in Australia, based in Sydney, he said that there was no reason to have a royal commission. Barry O'Farrell, the New South Wales Premier, he said that he didn't think a royal commission was a necessary thing. He wanted to have a special parliamentary inquiry, so we could stack all sides of it and make sure what it was going to find before we set it up. Barry O'Farrell's already in the shit because he did some creative accounting to pretend that the state of New South Wales was running at a deficit for so many billion, and the state ombudsman stepped in and said, no, well, actually, that's a crock of shit, you're not actually in deficit. You've done creative accounting to hide the fact that you're running in surplus. Yet 75% of the technical and further education, or TAFEs, or TAFE colleges, are to be shut down, and anybody who wants to do any kind of arty-farty degree, they're going to have to pay full fees up front, no help from the government. So all the people who were being government assisted to go and learn something while they were on social security, whether it's an old age pension or disability pension or unemployed, whatever, the idea was to get them off the streets, get them out, make them learn something. Barry O'Farrell's government, in a penny pinching move, because he's running at a surplus, but he didn't know he was running at a surplus. It wasn't that he was just going to use that as a slush fund to get re-elected. It wasn't that he was just going to distribute that money to his mates, was it? He was just hiding it from himself. Because he thought he was in a deficit, he's going to shut down the TAFEs, cut the healthcare, cry poor mouth, Oh, we haven't got the money, we can't afford it, Crock of shit. Barry O'Farrell was hiding the money, and he didn't want to have a royal commission. So yesterday, the prime muppet, Julia Gillard, she got up and she, that's it, we've had a gutful. Some of the figures that are coming out are that the Catholic clergy commit 6 times more child sexual assaults in Australia than all other sexual assaults committed by all other clergy of all other denominations combined. And the hierarchy of the New South Wales Police, you know what they've done? They've rung up the senior detective inspector's doctor and suggested that maybe he's suffering from a mental disorder in calling for a royal commission and saying that there's something wrong in the state of New South Wales. So our Prime Muppets decided there's going to be a federal royal commission, and she wants a royal commission into all hiding of pedophilia in Australia. All organisations, not just the Catholic Church, the churches, the schools, the orphanages, the foster caring institutions, the Boy Scouts, the Girl Guides, the football clubs, anywhere where pedophiles have been swept under the carpet and tolerated because of the old boys network. It's all going to be investigated. And you know what? The first thing the lawyers said, oh, well, it had better be a very tightly defined inquiry. It better have strict terms of reference and a fixed time limit, otherwise it could go on for an awfully long time and it might cost a lot of money too. So the lawyers don't want to know about it. One of the newspapers had an online poll and 10,000 hits in the first 5 hours or something, and 96% of the people who come onto their online poll said, yeah, we think a royal commission into pedophilia and the people who are protecting the pedophiles is a good idea. Something that a Roman Catholic nun said to me in the post office a year or so ago was that the next level of shitstorm in the Catholic Church is not just which priests are pedophiles. Sorry, I thought I heard that simmering. Which priests are the pedophiles? But which priests have taken confessions from pedophiles and given them absolution and then said nothing to nobody, because that's between the sinner and the priest and their God. So, as the nun said to me in the post office, there's another huge shitstorm ready to go in the Catholic Church. Oh, what else has been happening? Well, just to finish that, my first cut analysis, anybody who says it's a bad idea to have a wide-ranging, open-ended inquiry into pedophilia in Australia and protect us as pedophiles has obviously got something to hide. Personally, they've either been abused and they don't want to face it, or they've been abusing and they don't want to face it, or they're protecting somebody who's been abusing and they don't want to face it. There is no good and charitable just reason to try and limit the fallout from a royal commission into who's been buggering the babies and molesting the children. Right? So that's my 2 cents worth on that one. Up in Queensland, well, they're going to have a last solar eclipse till 2028 on planet Earth, because that's happening tomorrow up there. Meanwhile, their new shiny Liberal National Coalition government that got elected on such a landslide seems to have about 3 separate personal corruption scandals going on with its ministers already. Basically, it appears that the kind of candidate who puts their hand up to run for a Conservative party, as in a business party, as in a let's make money and who gives a fuck about the environment party, they are getting to be more and more shallow and transparent in their graspiness and more ridiculous. And therefore nobody can work with them and their policies don't make any sense. Okay, so we're looking at almost 15 minutes. Almost simmering. Almost making the simmering noises. I'm going come around and stand behind the camera and check and see that it's still rolling. Yes, we are still rolling. Been running for 20 minutes. Okay, so things should start getting a bit interesting fairly soon. Just a bit grabby. Yes. Okay, well, I'm going to take a punt on there we go. So now the camera is charging. What is going on there? Angle of the dangle wrong, have we? Aha. Let that be a lesson to you, YouTube. Got to get your alignment right. Okay, so don't know whether you can hear it on camera, but I certainly can. Just starting to make simmering noises, and 11:49, so that's 16 minutes. After going up there, and I had the alignment wrong, so lost a minute or so. Okay. I'll put some coffee in this. I'm assuming all you people know how a coffee percolator works. The grounds sit there in the basket. This siphon goes and sits in the pot full of water. The water level comes up to about here, and as the water bubbles, the steam pushes the water that's sitting in here. As the steam expands, it blows that water up and it comes onto the basket, and it goes through the grounds and back down into the water. So it is a steam powered water pump. So I don't think we're going to make the 25 minutes this time because of that misalignment that I had going on. Life's like that. Yeah. So it seems to be that the conservative side of politics has fallen to pieces worldwide. Everybody's sick of them. They make a big song and dance about how terrible and wicked and evil the Social Democrats or the Liberals or the people who want a fair go for everybody are. They're still pushing their old Reagan-esque theory of let the rich people get richer and the prosperity will trickle down like piss running down a drunk man's leg. And I think in Australia the fortunes of the Liberal National Party are going to go down pretty badly. If for no other reason that this Royal Commission into protecting pedophiles and sexual assault on an institutional level, it's going to reflect pretty badly on the people who've been pillars of the Catholic Church. Both Tony Abbott, who used to be a priest candidate in the seminary, and Malcolm Turnbull, who used to be the Australian leader of the Liberal Party, they're both staunch Catholics, different styles of Catholics. Malcolm turning the ball is sort of a soft Catholic. Tony Abbott, he's a hard-ass footballing Catholic. He went to the boarding school. He was one of the blokes who liked it there. Disappointing that I got the alignment wrong. We should have had the first bubbly boilie by now. However, call this a practical test. It's easy enough to pay attention to something else and make a mess of the lineup. So what else has been going on? Oh yeah, somebody finally noticed that the racehorse industry is so woefully corrupt that when the leading jockey in Victoria pleaded guilty, made a confession to having betted $10,000 against himself 2 years ago, he was still allowed to ride in the Spring Racing Carnival, and he rode a horse in the Melbourne Cup, and he was riding the favourite in the Melbourne Cup, even though he'd confessed to betting against himself a fortnight before the Melbourne Cup. As somebody said, it's kind of like having Lance Armstrong confess to doping himself and then inviting him to come back and win the Tour de France 7 more times. We're living in interesting times. Everything's going to shit. Now, courtesy of YouTube, and a user called Skid Row Radio. How you going, Ben? Didn't know what your first name was till I saw today's clip. The police in a place called Kent have arrested somebody because he put a picture on his Facebook account of him burning a plastic facsimile of a poppy flower. Somebody complained to the Kent police that this was offensive, and the Kent police don't seem to have a grip on the idea of freedom of speech to the point where they would realise that nobody has any legal right Yes, it just went blop blop. So we have boiling at 12:17. Hear that? And it would have been boiling faster than that were it not for my misalignment of the dish. I had it probably 15 degrees out of alignment. Too busy talking to the camera, you know, the sort of thing that goes on when you're trying to make a movie while running an experiment. So, sorry I didn't repeat my exemplary results of this morning. If you got no faith in my note taking, well, you'll probably think I was bullshitting. So, 28 minutes. When I did it wrong. Yeah? Is that readable? 25 minutes when I did it right, that's 280 watts heat transfer rate. And 28 minutes, which is probably about 250 watts or 260 or something. Not a whole lot of difference. And as I said, it was, you know, my mistake. Not the fault of the equipment. Blame the nut behind the wheel. And there you see, it's all turned brown. So, I pronounce the coffee percolated. And while I know that this lamp black is not particularly practical because it's a very fragile coating, I'm pretty sure they make matte black spray paint for motor car exhausts. So I'm going to investigate some of that. In the meantime, it's time for this mad scientist to have another cup of coffee. What a line of research. Warbles on a lot to YouTube. Ciao. Isn't it nice? The Mark 6.